All right, thanks so much, Joey. We start today with our top story check in the latest on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Russian attacks from the air and on the ground continue to batter cities and villages in Ukraine, with seemingly no concern for civilians caught in the crossfire. Now, the stepped up violence putting even more pressure on families trying to escape the war zone. Jay Gray has been following the situation and reports from the humanitarian crisis along the Poland-Ukraine border.
Bombed and burned out homes. A maternity and children's hospital left in ruins after an airstrike. It's becoming increasingly clear there's no line between soldier and civilian in the Kremlin's war plan. Evidence of brutal attacks on families fills Ukraine hospitals and fuels the resolve of volunteers like this father and son now training to fight.
Every parents must be defend the children, but we are now together because it's our choice, it's our way. It's not possible to have it another way because it's our motherland. We must be defend our motherland first of all.
While mothers struggle with a very different battle, leaving loved ones behind to protect the youngest victims of this war.
I believe that kids shouldn't see the murder, they shouldn't hear the bombs falling on their city. That's why we are here, hoping that something will change, that our army will stand till the end.
And hoping they'll be able to go home again. Jay Gray, NBC News.
And the effects from the Russian invasion of Ukraine are being felt all across the globe, but also in Puerto Rico when it comes to those rising fuel prices. In the Department of Consumer Affairs, among others, they don't anticipate the price of fuel to go down anytime soon. Our Francis Felix reports.
The economic impact in the daily life that Puerto Ricans receive due to the rise in the cost of gasoline could be greater after the President of the United States, Joe Biden, announced that he will prohibit the import of oil from Russia. Not only the price of gasoline is at stake, but also the cost of transportation, electricity, groceries, and basic necessities. The economist and professor of University of Puerto Rico in Calle, Jose Caraballo Cueto, anticipates that the price of the fuel in the island is not going down the dollar in the next months. The scenario of inflation adds to the high cost of living that Puerto Ricans been experimenting. Some of the economist's recommendations that could help relieve the economic impact: be judicious when consuming, plan the trips, renewable energy, electric vehicles, and others. For other economists like Adrian Alos, even if the conflict between Russia and Ukraine ends, the issue of imports from Russia to other markets, mainly Europe, it's not going to be resolved quickly. A week ago, the Department of Consumer Affairs, DACO, announced the increase in the price of gasoline, and the agency acknowledged that the market will continue to be unstable. According to data from DACO, the maximum price at the pump for a liter of regular gasoline was yesterday at $1.15, at $1.20 for premium, and at $1.22 for diesel. From Puerto Rico, Francis Felix.
All right, thanks so much for that report, Francis. Meantime, in the Turks and Caicos, several COVID safety measures, including face masks and vaccine mandates, are being lifted. Deandra Hamilton has the details.
As countries across the Caribbean continue to relax their COVID-19 restrictions, the Turks and Caicos is not left out and has announced an end to several COVID-19 measures and protocols. The announcements were made by the Minister of Health, Jamel Robinson, at a press conference in late February. Speaking at that conference, Minister Robinson explained that masks are no longer required when outdoors.
Mask wearing and or face covering will continue to be required indoors and in closed spaces, while their use is now recommended for outdoors, particularly when in close proximity to others.
He noted that as of February 28, the mandate for individuals to be vaccinated in order to enter restaurants or bars or nightclubs, even churches, weddings, and funerals, was lifted.
Restaurants, bars, nightclubs, or discotheque patrons are no longer required to be fully vaccinated and have a 24-hour negative test for entry. Commercial excursion boat owners are no longer restricted in capacity, and logbooks for all establishments will no longer be required.
While explaining why the TCI has not ended all of its restrictions like the United Kingdom, Minister Robinson stressed the importance of being mindful of the country's strengths and weaknesses and knowing at this time how far to go in order to protect those lives and livelihoods.
COVID is kind of tricky, eh? It is kind of tricky. So some countries, they believe that COVID is effectively a flu now, right? It's not that we don't see the data or the information that would support that. We just can't afford to move too fast, too quickly.
DeAndre Hamilton reporting.
All right, thanks for that report, DeAndre. Well, switching gears now, the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard has launched an investigation into an incident at sea that has left one Grenadian needing surgery. And the Coast Guard and the officers who were involved in the incident have been sent on leave. Last Wednesday, 8 crew members on the vessel, which usually travels to Trinidad every week to conduct trade, were met with hostility by T&T Coast Guard officers, which escalated into the assault of the crew's captain and one crew member. The crew member was reported to be seriously injured and required surgery. Speaking in the Senate on Tuesday, the Minister of National Security said preliminary interviews have been conducted with the Coast Guard personnel who were all involved in the incident.
The Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard interceptor crew involved in the incident has been removed from seagoing duties until the conclusion of the investigations. Further, the assistance of an independent investigatory body from the Defense Force headquarters has been sought to carry out an in-depth investigation.
Now, he went on to say the local team has contacted the investigator from Grenada so that arrangements can be made to interview crew members of that vessel. Meanwhile, in Grenada, Foreign Affairs Minister Oliver Joseph said he believes the incident is an isolated one and should not affect trade with the island's CARICOM neighbor. However, he said the owner of the boat involved in the incident intends to take legal action.
He gave me his side of the story. His action is to, as he informed me, that he will be taking legal action, which is his right to. I am talking to government based on our relations with Trinidad. We have good friendly relations, and therefore the Trinidad government, as I said, is extremely concerned about the incident. It's only a few days ago it took place, so we have had no update since then on the investigation, but he promised to keep me posted when on the progress.
In the meantime, a work-from-home policy is being actively pursued by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. This is according to the leader of government business in the Senate, Clarence Rabinhart, who was providing an update on the government's planned policy. He said prior to the pandemic, a subcommittee was established to consider instituting a work-from-home initiative to improve the performance and productivity levels within the public service. Rabinhart said the work done by the subcommittee so far included research on the best practices and a survey conducted between September of 2020 and December of 2020. He said the subcommittee knew that stakeholders must be involved in the development and decision-making processes, and it is procuring a consultant to conduct further interaction and consultation. That procurement would happen in April and the consultation completed by the end of September. He said the consultancy would determine the direction the policy would take.
The onset of the pandemic and the ensuing mitigation measures employed by the government that included remote work in the public service for non-essential services served to exacerbate the need and urgency for a work-from-home policy in the public service. At the time the subcommittee was established, the digital transformation portfolio was under the Ministry of Public Administration. In moving forward, the subcommittee will work closely with the Ministry of Digital Transformation, which is integral to the development of the work-from-home policy. Madam President, our work-from-home policy as it pertains to the public sector requires thorough study that each worker is treated fairly and public services delivery is improved. Issues for consideration include a wide range of jobs and services that the public service provides, and some might be more conducive to work from home while others may have become obsolete.